In this video, I wanted to go over programming secondary days for volume versus intensity dependent lifters. And this is something I've been doing a little bit more in my own coaching system because secondary days are probably the most important thing to understand how to program, because the secondary day stimulus is sort of what sets up the primary day's performance. The reason why we have secondary days is because if we were to just rest for an entire week, likely we would come back around to our primary days and we would feel just really detrained, even though we are fully recovered. The whole goal of this day is to get a stimulus that sets ourselves up for the primary day to feel stronger than otherwise would without overly fatiguing ourselves. And really, there's sort of two types of lifters that I've found as far as what they need as far as stimulus on the secondary days, and those are going to be people that need more intensity, people that need more volume to feel strong. And the intensity dependent lifters are going to need to touch a certain percentage of their primary day's top set to feel strong, and other lifters are going to be the volume. Are going to need more training volume and just don't really respond very well to heavier top sets, and just need more of a relative intensity stimulus to feel strong. So how this would look like for people that are more dependent upon intensity is that you would program the same top set rep range as your primary day, but you have it be a percent goal of the primary day. And just for general guidelines for each lift, bench around 90 to 95% of the primary day goal, squat 80 to 90%, and deadlift 75 to 85%. And this just depend upon like the fatigability. If you don't know what you respond to, I would start in the middle of those ranges and just see how you feel. What you're looking for to know that it's the right amount of intensity, but not overly fatiguing or too light, is that it feels you feel stronger than the bar and you don't feel beat up. Like if you feel like beat up, or like the bar still feels heavy on your back, even though that you feel like you're not like fatigued necessarily. You need more stimulus as far as intensity goes. If you feel like your primary day is feeling just a little bit fatigued, even though the bar feels like good on your back, I would go just a little bit lighter. So this is an example layout for bench press. Primary day is going to be single RP7, and then on the secondary day, basically you would take 90 to 95% of that primary day's top set, so 285 to 300, and that would probably set up the next the next week's training stimulus. So that's sort of how that would look like. Pretty straightforward. And then for volume dependent lifters, all you're trying to do is just hit a relative intensity stimulus, which is an RPE goal that is regressed from the primary day in a higher rep range than the primary day's top set. So this is just because some lifters just don't need that much intensity. Their nervous system just takes longer to recover. If you were to give them in more intensity, most of the time I found that lifters will just report some like connective tissue stress, more pain symptoms. It doesn't necessarily help them feel better. They might just feel this more fatigue. If you give them more intensity, they feel a little bit more fresh. If you give them some more volume. So some general guidelines for each lift. Bench is going to be -1 RPE for the primary day top set. Same with squat, and then deadlift -1 to 2. Usually for sumo deadlifters, I find -1 is all that they need. Whereas conventional deadlifters, just a little more fatigue, -2 is usually the best thing to do. So example layout for deadlift would be on the primary day. You do a top set at RP7 or single. The secondary day, regress that by 2. It's in the case of like a conventional puller or someone who pulls sumo and just has a very bent over torso. A setting sets up up to an RPE5 at a higher rep range than what the primary day is. So just one example of this is that my lifter Bridger, we tried experimenting with giving a little more of intensity, because I was like, maybe this will help his primary day feel better on deadlift. But you can see right here, he's reporting deadlift is just not feeling strong. He's not adapting well. Look at the E1 1RM, it's not going up. And I saw this and I'm like, okay, what you're doing going into nationals was you're doing just 2 ascending sets of 8, and this was regressed by really just 2 RPE, 2 RPE, going into his week, or just his primary day, and he felt very strong. He set a PR, the world record deadlift at this meet, so he obviously felt strong. Whereas on squat, you can see he's a little more intensity driven. 375 is going to be roughly 90% of the goal weight, and once we started incorporating that, he started feeling strong on squat. It's always shown up well. Same with, and that's sort of like what we've responded well there. Bench press, he's responded a little bit better to having just a little bit more volume. You kind of see that, he's just regressed by 1 RPE. So hopefully that makes sense as far as programming secondary days. Pretty straightforward, but something to think about if you are coaching yourself or coaching your athletes, to think about secondary days in this way. So I will include the link to this sheet in the description. But if you guys want my help with this, you can click the link below to apply for coaching. That's what I do for all my athletes. Take care of their programming. Make sure you guys set PRs every single training block, and get a strong aesthetic physique. So hopefully this is helpful. Please like and share if you found it helpful, and talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.